let me introduce Miss Rashmi Srivastava. In fact, the topic that she's going to take is what I would keenly like to hear it, because culture of safety is something most of the institutes are now working on. So culture of safety is the topic that Ms. Srivastava would be taking. To give a brief profile of what she has been doing all this while is that she has a experience of nearly 20 years in healthcare. Currently, she is heading the group quality for Narayan Health, as well as leading the accreditation of NABA, JCI, Nursing Excellence, NABL, Blood Banking and Imaging Services for the group. She is a certified professional in healthcare quality from the Healthcare Quality Certification Commission of USA, as well as she has completed her patient safety specialization from the Johns Hopkins University. She is also Baldrige Assessor for Healthcare Excellence Program and a member of JCI Advisory Committee for Standard Development, Implementation and Evaluation. Phenomenal CV you're having, Mr. Srivastava. Now over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Savan, for a brief introduction, and a very good afternoon to everybody. Thanks to CAHO for inviting me as one of their speakers. So as Dr. Savan said, my topic is culture of safety, which is of course a very, very essential and important topic for any healthcare organization. So in this session, we'll be discussing mainly about, what is a work culture which leads to a good safety culture, and definitely we'll be talking about, what is a safety culture, why we need safety culture, how do we build it, the impact of safety culture, and as the topic for today's whole program is that survey and audit. So we will understand, in detail that how do we measure the culture of safety, then, improve it, and then sustain with the safety culture. Okay. I mean, this is the first thing which I would like to address, that, create a safety culture. Don't create only a safety program, which is a very short term, and, you just start a program and then end with it, right? So what do we need for creating a safety culture, right? So we cannot create a safety culture unless we have a buy-in from all the staff. So everybody has in their, ownership, and then we have a leadership commitment. We have a rules and procedures for everything, and that has been communicated to all the staff. A lot of organizations have a lot of rules and procedure, but it's never get communicated to the staff, right? And then, of course, we have to do our self-verification and recognition of this whole thing. So this is like whole journey, which we use it for creating a, safety culture in the organization. Moving forward, very briefly, because I have to cover measure in detail. So here, we all know that employee get their safety habits from work and organization culture, right? Every employee, how they behave in the organization is definitely inspired by, the kind of culture we have in the organization. So what is culture? Culture is actually shared beliefs, behaviors, and characteristics by the whole organization, employee of the organization, the management, how they communicate. Okay, so entire shared beliefs, behaviors, and characteristics actually form the culture of the organization. Very briefly, I'll just tell you, what kind of culture actually, kind of culture exists in various kind of organization. You can relate definitely to, some. So one is called as a force culture, where, most of the time the threat is used for employee, to comply with their rules and regulation. And of course, is also termed as, punitive culture. Second category comes, which is like, a protective culture, where, any incident happen, you come up with an additional guidelines and, rules and some kind of procedure. So what happens, end of the day, we have a list of, procedures and policies and everything, but ultimately nobody is aware of those, and it is either uploaded in your some kind of, SharePoint or document folder, or it is kept in your almirahs, but nobody is aware that what exactly they're supposed to do. Third one is your involved culture, where we show, the organization show a very strong commitment to your safety program. We conduct safety training for all the employees, but what we believe that, our departmental head, our senior management, definitely they don't need any kind of training program, because, it is only meant for the frontline staff and, the workers who are, doing the day-to-day work. Now, the fourth one, which we all try to, get through this, is your integral culture, which is called a very, very firm commitment to the safety culture, where all level of management, whether it's a chairman or a CEO or your, any management operating layers or your departmental head, your functional head, everybody is involved in, safety program. They are, propagating safety culture in all their, decisions, all their, the policy procedure they are creating. And so how we demonstrate publicly all component of safety program. So this is, the integral culture which we all as a quality professional is trying to build it in the organization, along with, that all the staff or all the employees in the hospital take an ownership, and we have a very strong leadership commitment towards our safety culture. Now, what is a safety culture? I mean, just very briefly, I think all of you have an idea what we call it as a safety culture. Just putting some perspective is the organization which is very alert in identifying existing or potential hazard, right? It's not that something is happening and then only we are reacting on it. So we are very alert in identifying existing or any kind of potential hazard in any of our processes, promote safe behavior. So our employees or anybody in the organization can report any kind of incidents or any kind of unsafe behavior without fear of formal or informal punitive action, right? And proactive in establishing mitigation measures. So what does it mean? That if you identify any incidents, we are very, very proactive in finding out a mitigation measure, and then putting some kind of preventive so we can avoid reoccurrence. And of course, the last one, which I believe, it's also a very equally important, the way we say promote safety behavior, we should also have a very, as an organization, a zero tolerance for reckless behavior, or if somebody is compromising or not doing a safety appropriate action, then definitely we should be having a very, very, zero tolerance kind of policy in the organization. What do we going forward, what we expect when we have a safety culture, it has to be very pervasive, that all the staff adopt safety as their primary concern, whether it's a management or any kind of operating layers or your leadership. So everybody should be for safety culture, then only we can establish it in the organization. And they're very attentive, or a lot of importance have been given to what kind of lesson we learn in any kind of incidents or near miss or anything is reported. Then only we can build a very, very robust safety culture. Now coming to a second question is, why do we need it? You can see the safety pyramid. Okay, the bottom of the pyramid, which is a little wider, it's called unsafe condition, right? So if you're reporting unsafe condition and near misses, then we see, the fatal incident which can happen. Definitely incident will happen in the hospital, nobody can stop. Okay, just to avoid that we don't have, the serious disability or fatal incident, which we call it as a near miss or sentinel event. To avoid that, we'll have to have a culture where we report, a lot of unsafe condition and near misses. So we avoid and don't have any kind of sentinel event in the hospital where we lose our, we have a permanent harm to the patient, or we lose working hours and all. So those kind of incident to avoid, we'll have to, control the bottom of the pyramid, that we should get a lot of reporting for unsafe condition and the near miss, just to don't get that, the sentinel event. So what we say is, before the incident occurs, cultivate safe and just culture, so we can avoid any kind of incident. I mean, we can try everything. Definitely some incidences will happen, but just to avoid, we have to cultivate safe and just culture. Now, how do we build safety culture in the organization? We talked about, why it is important, what is safety culture, then how do we build safety culture in the organization? So in the earlier slide, I said that, all employees, they build their safety habits from the culture, what they get in the organization. So it's very important when somebody is boarding on your organization, on board, or you call it induction or orientation, safety aspect has to be explained, in much greater detail. The vision around the safety processes, what you want to establish in the organization, has to be communicated properly. It has to be included in your, regular training program. Of course, regular training programs happens maybe annually, your ongoing training program. So it's very important that at my working station or at my, in the department, there should be some kind of display, or there should be some kind of display, or maybe a digital or a poster, something is available which continuously remind me, that what kind of behavior I should be, projecting in this organization. Then of course, if somebody is working, then safe availability of safety infrastructure, adequate PPEs and all availability also, encourages all the staff, to follow actually the safe behavior. Then of course, led by example is that all your managers, your departmental head, your senior leadership has to demonstrate that how the safety culture is important. Again, coming to blame-free reporting culture, which is one of the major determinant which decide that whether you're able to build a safety culture in a right direction, or you can you can start the process, but if you don't cultivate this blame-free reporting culture, again is going to fall again and again. So how do we create this? Whenever any incident is reporting, I'm not going into much detail because I'll restrict myself to how do we measure the survey. It's just giving a little brief that how do we create a blame-free reporting culture. Any incident is reported. If you don't do a proper root cause analysis and give a feedback, or give our feedback to the department or the person who was reported, and tell them, because you reported the incident, we have actually improved this process or improved this system, then the person will be encouraged, and then you'll have properly that we have definitely not blamed a person who or she has committed the mistake. We understand there is definitely some kind of process issue or some kind of awareness issue which we have tackled it. Then the staff will be motivated to report more and more the incidented or unsafe conditions or the near misses, because they know that the improvement is coming because of their report. And that's how we create a blame-free reporting culture. Now, just giving a little brief that it's good that a lot of emphasis has been given in all the accreditation standard. Coming to NABH, so NABH is included in their PSQ 6 that management creates a culture of safety. Of course, in Joint Commission is there from a long time that they ensure that in their ARP 9 that all the staff should be aware of that. If they find any concern about patient safety and quality of care, they can report directly to JCI. If they without fearing about no formal disciplinary action and or informal punitive actions. Of course, they have included in their leadership standard that leadership create and support a safety program, and leadership implements, monitor, and take action to improve the program and a culture of safety. So it's like it's very important that all the accreditation standards are giving a lot of emphasis on culture of safety. And we all have started, after NABH has introduced in this PSQ 6, all the organizations started actually, thinking about culture of safety. And now, of course, the measurement is asked in the survey. So we all are trying to, move in that direction. Now moving to today, how do we measure? We have established, we have understood the importance of safety culture. Now, how do we measure? Whether we are on a right track, and then whether do we need to improve something? So how do we measure it? For measurement, definitely there are a lot of tools available which are validated and available, in the free environment. You can download and use this. So first is safety attitude questionnaire. The very important, which is widely used and it is very well validated in Western world also, is Hospital Survey on Patient Safety Culture 2.0, released by AHRQ. And then Manchester Patient Safety Assessment Framework from UK. Here, I'll just give you a small brief what is included in safety attitude questionnaire. So it talks about, teamwork climate, job satisfaction, perception of management, safety climate, working conditions, stress recognition. All the sections have different questions, which you can use it on your own platform and do a survey. But I'm not going in detail about safety attitude questionnaire. I just cover one tool, which is AHRQ 2.0 in detail. And in case if you need any help, it is available in the free environment. You can always use it, download. Now it is released, the current version, what they have released is Survey 2.0. Now it is intended and help hospital in assessing their patient safety culture. So the whole tool has been built in to understand the different component of the safety culture, which can be used. I mean, it is free to use for all the hospitals, so you can download and go ahead and use it. They have released a user guide also, which can be used, which you can download and use it for understanding how to run the survey, how to interpret the data, how to understand the component. Okay. Now moving, what includes in this HRQ 2.0? So there are a few survey items which is called questions, and then they're clubbing one or two or survey items and made them and club them into a composite measure. Okay, so it has around 40 survey items. It has 40 questions. It has 8 single item measures, which is one survey item asking about how many patient safety events responded has reported. Then one survey item is asking about overall rating on a patient safety. 6 survey item, which is actually asking about the background of the person who's actually taking the survey, which includes your position, what you are, where do you work in the hospital, what is the tenure of working, and then whether you are in a direct interaction with the patients or you are indirectly interacting with the patients. Then there are 32 questions, which is divided into 10 composite measure. So that a grouping of 2 or more survey items that assess the same area of the patient safety culture. So if I have taken one composite, it will have a similar question, which will be measuring that composite. Yeah. So what I'm talking about composite. So what does it mean? So there are 10 composite, which is divided into in a broader category. Is communication about error, communication openness, handoff and information exchange, support for patient safety, organization learning, reporting patient safety event, response to errors, staffing and workplace, supervisor, managerial or clinical leader, and teamwork. You can see here on the right hand side, I have given how many number of items are included in each composite measure. You can do a modification, but you can do modification in change only the background item, which is there in the mention in that you can ask different question in the background item. That modification is allowed in this tool. If you want to collect an additional or some supplemental data, that is also allowed in the tool. You can collect the data what you want to use it along with using this tool. I mean, using this 10 composite measure and putting all the survey items, still you can ask for some supplemental data. Okay. So survey items question, one thing which we have to remember very clearly, which will impact definitely our interpretation and analysis, is survey items or questions. Some questions are worded negatively, some questions are worded positively. Okay. So when you are even launching the survey and when you're telling your user that this is a survey which you have to answer, when you are introducing the survey or when you are communicating to all your users or respondent, please tell them about the positive and negative worded. The option is that all the negative worded question you can convert it into positive, which we have done as an organization. Easy for our respondent to reply. And then the option used in this whole survey is 5, is strongly disagree, neither agree, strongly agree, and does not apply, or you don't know. So as it is mentioned here, 8 of 12 composite have at least one reverse worded items. So that reverse worded, you can again change it into a positive question and you can include it. And there are 2 composite, which is hands-off and transition and non-punitive response to error. Everything is reversely worded. So that information can be communicated to a respondent, or you can, change those questions, as I earlier mentioned, into positive worded question, and then, inform your respondent and they can reply accordingly. Okay. Just quickly, I'll tell you how the actually survey looks like. I think most of you would have definitely seen online. So this is how the whole survey looks like. You have all these survey 2.0, and then these are the options which has been given, and these are composite measure. I'll quickly pass on through, and in this thing they have mentioned very clearly which are negatively worded question, which are positively worded question. So you can work accordingly and then decide your questionnaire. So how do you administer the survey? So first you decide that, what is your scope of the survey? What are the resources available? How are you going to, doing this survey? Second, decide on the data collection method. So what I prefer is like if you do a data collection on some kind of digital platform, is easy for you to do an analysis, and you can make this on your Google form or a Microsoft Office form. You can use SurveyMonkey. If it's not possible, definitely you can go ahead with paper-based survey. Some organization who are very big, they have hired an outside vendor who can use the same tool and run the survey for the organization. Then you can have it an option of having a confidential, where identifiers are available, but the organization given assurance that no data will be released. You can run it as an anonymous survey also, where no identifier, no employee ID and no other information has been asked. You make a project schedule, you make a timeline for the entire survey, that when are you administering the survey, when your data collection will be done, when you start analyzing your presentation to your top management, when you work on an improvement action. So everything you can have in your project schedule, and then you can decide a timeline also for the survey, that okay, I'll give for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or for a month. Decide depending on your organization requirement how much you want, and when do you want to start the survey, and when do you want to close the survey. Survey population and sampling, I'll be showing you in the next slide, but AHRQ user guide has mentioned a very clear rule on for this tool, how you should be doing your survey population sampling. Then of course, communication is very, very important when you are administering the survey. So when you're launching the survey, explain the intent of this whole survey to your all category of employees, whether you're doctors or your nurses, your admin, your paramedical, whichever category you're running. Explain them about the intent, explain how the survey and what they have to respond. In case if otherwise the responses what you will be getting may not be appropriate, and then you'll have to do a lot of sanitization of data and validation of data when you're actually interpreting the results. Then of course, to encourage more people, if your timeline for survey is like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, inform people that from this category, this is kind of response rate we are giving, so people get motivated and they keep replying. I mean, we can't force people, but we want maximum reply to get an adequate sample size. So what we can do, we can keep informing them about what is the weekly response rate for all category, and definitely this has worked for us and we have got a better response. Of course, you'll have to use your AHRQ trademark, because we'll have to mention somewhere that this tool has been used by, it is given by AHRQ and you're using to measure your safety culture. So this is a sample size. I have taken directly the table from the AHRQ user guide. So if you have a staff of 500, then you'll have to cover all. And this sample size is given assuming that you will have a 50% of the response rate. So at least if you have a 500 people, you will be getting 250 responses. If you have 501 to 699, then of course 500 and 250 responses. And as go on, from 700 to 1299, from 1300 to 4000. So this is how they have given a sample size, assuming that the 50% response rate you will giving it. So you can follow the sample size and run your survey for proper validated results. How do you do data analysis? So once you receive the data, whether you're receiving it from the paper or you're receiving it from the digital platform, you have to sanitize, validate the data that you've got a proper responses. Code the responses, because here I have shown you earlier the options. The options are given in English, right? So if you really want to communicate, if you really want to analyze the data, you'll have to convert those positive worded, negatively worded question in some kind of numerical data, which is 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So calculate the item percentage positive score, which is called percentage positive. So all the results which is done by this HRQ survey tool is given as a percentage positive. For a positively worded item, you can use 4 and 5 as a calculating for percentage positive. For reverse worded item, you can take 1 or 2 as a positive, when you're calculating your positive percentage. Positive is positive for your patient safety question. Calculate the frequencies of the response. This is very simple calculation. You have to calculate the frequencies of the response and calculate composite measure, or you can calculate your survey item wise positive score. Right? So this is the report from our hospital. I'll just quickly go through. So, we have done an executive summary where it says area of improvement and the weakness, and then we have done it, category wise, your interaction with patients. So all background item we have taken, and then see what is the response percentage. And then you have, composite wise percentage positive responses, right? And then you have a survey item wise positive responses, then your action taken and your whatever proposal is, right? So that includes in your report. Yeah. Moving forward, we have how do you interpret the results? You identify the gap between the belief and behavior in all the composite. Okay, you find out, why the reasons for all composite and component of safety culture survey, why the response is low or a high. Yeah. Then you can do, variation by subculture, like, if you have a doctor's category, nurses, and, those ways. So the responses you can categorize based on that. Okay, that's what I was trying to show in the report. And then microculture unit, like, somebody's working in cath lab, somebody's working in ICU. So what is the response from the staff or the nurses who are working in ICU, and what is the versus the response, the nurses who are working in the ward. So within your own unit, you can compare, unit-wise responses. So all these variation you can do along with the data. That's why we are collecting all the background information. You can, divide, like somebody has a 5 years of experience and somebody has a 20 years of, experience in the organization. You can see, what is the variation between their beliefs and their understanding about the safety culture, because definitely the response will vary. So, these all will give you actually the pointers, what is your area of improvement and what you should be doing actually. The employee perception changes about your safety of culture. Then, of course, you can use external benchmarking because HRQ releases their report every year. So you can use that as an external benchmarking. You can conduct internal benchmarking, nurses versus not nurses responses, or within, different area of nurses, or, similarly, you can have, we run the survey for 1920 hospital within NH group. So we do benchmarking against, every hospital. So we created our internal benchmark, and then we try to assess what is the safety of culture level in every hospital. Then, of course, identify either your composite wise or your unit wise or your hospital wise, what is your area of improvement. Okay. Coming to the action plan. So identify area in need of improvement, prioritize your area of improvement, discuss with the stakeholder, presentation to the leadership, discuss on the action tracker, review and track your action. And of course, in the last, I talked to you about sustainability of your action plan or sustainability of your safety culture. So it's very important to monitor that whatever action plan you have done it because of your survey, how are you ensuring that this is followed properly. So of course, link and align to your strategic plan. Keep it very simple. Anything which is simple is easy to implement and you can see the results. Identify KPIs, what you're expecting when you're doing this action plan, what kind of changes you expect in any process or any system. Identify KPI for that, monitor it, maintain your data, create your dashboard, compare your surveys for 2 years and 3 years and see what you wanted and where have you reached. So thank you all. And I believe that, the safety culture in any organization is always starts with me. I'm the one who can make a difference when I follow all the rules, procedure, and reporting. I can definitely be contributing a lot in creating a safety culture.
Thanks a lot, Rashmi.